This was definitely the most, I think, demanding show I've ever done in my life. It's just being on stage 24/7. It's been very cool to learn about all the different tech elements I think I've kind of been missing because I've just been in the heat of the action so much. But I've loved playing this role. It's been very fulfilling.
Hello, and welcome to The Perch, where we highlight authentic voices, expert insights, and meaningful conversation. The Perch brings the Kincaid School's mission to life through stories of education, leadership, and community. Let's get started. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Mike Murray, and today we will be joined by three key members of the cast and crew from the Upper School musical that just concluded this past weekend. If you were lucky enough to be in the audience for Once Upon a One More Time, you know what a powerful story it is. But even if you didn't make it out to the show, I think you're going to learn a little bit more about our talented artists and what goes into pulling off this kind of a Broadway level musical, all while balancing some of the rigorous demands of being a student here at Kincaid. So join me, please. Welcome to The Perch. We have class of 2026, Irene Pletcher.
Hi.
Irene, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We also have Georgia Holton from the class of 2027. Georgia, good to see you.
Hi, thanks for having me.
And Lana Tosic, class of 27 as well. Lana, good to see you.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So Irene, let's start with you. For the listeners who don't know the story behind Once Upon a One More Time, which a lot of people may not, give us maybe a short synopsis of the narrative and maybe some of the key groups of characters that play a part in helping to share the story with the audience.
Yeah, definitely. So basically Once Upon a One More Time is kind of flipping the fairy tale, like the typical fairy tale story on its head. So it starts with all your classic fairy tale princesses. There's Cinderella, Snow White, Princess and the Pea, Rapunzel, Ariel, and Sleeping Beauty. Those are kind of the big six princesses. And they're all living in their typical happy ever after worlds until they are given a book by the original fairy godmother, The Feminine Mystique by Betty Friedan, and it introduces them to new ideas about independence and self-determination. And as they start to read this book, they start to also realize that the roles they've been living in maybe don't necessarily reflect who they want to be and the kind of decisions they want to make. So they start to kind of uprise and redefine their identities and relationships. And the entire story is told through Britney Spears' songs and actually Britney Spears' career as well, of breaking free from her conservatorship as she was releasing her music. So there's these huge pop hits that become kind of the centerpiece of the show. And it's about breaking free and reclaiming your story and your narrative and making the decisions that you want to make.
Wow. What is the original fairy godmother?
I think maybe I'll let Lana speak on this, but go for it.
Yeah, I played the original fairy godmother. It's called the OFG in the show.
OFG?
I remember there was some confusion over what that meant when I would tell people, but it does stand for original fairy godmother. And I presume that means that it's like the fairy godmother from the original Cinderella movie, but she's kind of adapted to be this feminist figure. And later on in the show, you figure out that she's not just the fairy godmother, that she actually is Betty Friedan, whose book, The Feminine Mystique, has been driving the plot. So I think that also, at least for me, played into the original aspect because it's like the person who set all of this up and set this world up, but also was able to break free from it and create something new.
Georgia, tell us a little bit about the parts and the pieces that you helped put together for this show. I understand it was pretty heavy lift.
Yes, so I was a mouse in the show as well as a lady, but I, on top of that, was one of the co-dance captains of the show, along with Anastasia Sanchez. We work with Miss Williams, the choreographer, throughout. We started back in early December, right after Thanksgiving break we started working on the choreography for the show because this is unlike a show Kincaid has kind of ever done, and the fact that there's 17 numbers in it. And I think once you take out the songs with no choreography, we did 13 pieces in the show, which is a lot of choreography that is pretty different than any other show we've ever done before. And then on top of that, it's a different style of dance as opposed to just straight musical theater. We were having them do a more jazz funk, hip-hop-y type of dance. So yes, my role, I was in the actual show, but on top of that, more of as dance captain, I helped choreograph, teach, clean the numbers, warmed everyone up every day. Yeah.
Wow. So the word leader comes to mind right away. Lana, tell me about, you did some other things on the show. Tell us about that.
I did. I was a student costumer, and I was also selected to serve as a student music director. So essentially what that meant I did is I worked closely with Mr. Harrison and Evelyn Turubiartes, who was also a music director on the show. Being a student music director essentially meant that I served to help Mr. Harrison with tasks regarding the score, the rehearsals, the preparation, any sectional rehearsals or anything that anyone needed help with. There is actually no Broadway recording for the show.
So when you say there's no Broadway recording of this, you're saying we basically created our own music to fit the show?
Pretty much, yeah. Evelyn and I recorded rehearsal tracks for the show, so all we had was the score and like the Britney song reference, and we basically just had to go in and learn all of these songs and then send them off to be used by people like Mr. Harrison, Mr. Lambert, Miss Williams, and also all of the tech crew.
Also, like, they synced all of the thousands and thousands of light cues to the music that they recorded.
Mm-hmm.
So we quite literally would have had no way to choreograph the show or any of the lights, which were the center of our show, without those tracks. So
Phenomenal. Irene, you mentioned lights, and I'm always just blown away by synchronization of the music and the movement and the lights that are on stage. Can one of you tell me a little bit about maybe somebody on the tech side that helps make that magic happen where everything kind of fuses together?
Mr. Sal was our lead on this show, so he programmed all the lights and helped run them and was just with us the entire time doing that. Along with him was Mr. Buck's son. He came in and he helped us program because it was just a really big job because it wasn't theatrical lighting, it was concert lighting, it was synced to a click track. It was a lot. And then we have our awesome stage manager, Felix Riley. He was in the light booth and he was the one calling. And then also Cynthia Kai. She's a senior and she was running the light board.
Irene, tell us about your role. It was a pretty important princess and storytelling role.
I was Cinderella. Yeah, this was definitely the most, I think, demanding show I've ever done in my life. It's just being on stage 24/7. It's been very cool to learn about all the different tech elements I think I've kind of been missing because I've just been in the heat of the action so much. But I've loved playing this role. It's been very fulfilling.
So Georgia and Irene, the people that are playing main characters, are also dancers as well. I know you had your core dance team, but is that unusual to have that much of the entire cast of a musical doing a type of dance you mentioned?
Yes, I usually in a musical, everyone does dance. I feel like that's very like an integral part of musical theater, but specifically in this one, we had our leads doing full out numbers, full on dancing while also singing these incredibly hard songs, which I'm sure someone else will touch on this with more singing experience than me, but that I know were a different sort of challenge that they've never done before. So having to learn how to do that as well as dancing in a way most of them had never danced before, and most of them have some dance background, some didn't have any dance background. But I mean, everyone really honestly just came in ready to work every day, which I think was the most important part. We do the show in 8 weeks, so to teach 17 numbers in 8 weeks is quite the task, and everyone came every day ready to work, which was always so impressive. But yeah, it was quite the process.
Yeah, for sure. I think also this was such an ensemble show. And I mean, we always have a show with a very extremely talented ensemble, and they're in all the dance numbers. But I mean, we just could not have done the show without the ensemble on stage 24/7. Like, singing wise, it was always like thinking on our feet, because we would add in like new riffs every single night. We would try and change up what we were singing, change the melody, do counter melody. Like, it was always, I would like to say it was a new show every night we did it. And so that definitely added on another layer to doing the choreography and thinking about what you're singing, and also trying to like add in new little like nuggets every night. So it was such a new feeling to walk on stage and not know how I was going to sing something every single night. And I really liked that. That freedom's really cool, but it was new for all of us and challenging.
So Lana, take us back 8 weeks, or actually even further back into the fall, when the idea of this show first comes into your mind and we start talking about it. How does that work? Can all three of you maybe just give a little short synopsis of, okay, we're going to do this show. This is what it's about. And we probably think as a listener, we have an idea of what the audition and preparation process is, but tell us something we don't know.
So yeah, obviously with the audition, you get the material, you prepare, you audition, you come in for your callback if you're called back, and then you receive your cast list. The first thing that I started on was costumes. I started building, I think, in November, if not November, the very beginning of December. And I started building a corset for Rapunzel. And I remember that project, it took me forever. It took me so long, and it was just so many steps. But it was really one of my favorite projects that I have ever done. And I made a presentation for the show, and I spoke about that in my presentation. But even outside of costumes, I remember with the music directing stuff, it was immediately go time. I think even before we got released for Thanksgiving break, we were expected to have the tracks in the folder, because Mr. Harrison told us, hey, like, they need to start working now. This is a lot of numbers. This is going to be a lot of work. We need to just let them have it.
Well, Irene, you only have a few more months here at Kincaid, and you've been in quite a few shows. So when that 8-week countdown starts and you've got that first rehearsal, give us an idea of what a rehearsal schedule looks like for a musical like this. And then the obvious question, how in the world do you balance that preparation with maintaining the standards we do academically here at Kincaid?
Definitely. I mean, our rehearsal schedule is insane for anyone who doesn't know. Like, I still shock people by telling them. I don't think it's like a widely known thing, but we have 3-hour rehearsals every single weekday, except for Friday and Saturday, and a 4-hour rehearsal on Sunday. So it's, it's really a matter of like an hour and a half to get your homework done every day, which if you're in multiple AP classes and I mean, any on-level classes too at Kincaid, like getting all your work done on like Friday and Saturday. That's kind of, it sounds boring, but that's the biggest piece of advice I have.
So Georgia, how did you get through 8 weeks of rehearsals and still come out on the other side feeling good?
Yes. My schedule is, it's a tough one for 2 months, because on top of the musical, I'm also rehearsing for the dance company choreo projects right now, and I'm a choreographer, so I'm doing my own piece. So every day after school, I have rehearsal from 3:30 to 5:30, and then I start warm up on stage or in the studio at 5:45. And then on choreography days, I would be working all the way till 9. Just being at school every day, basically, for about 13 hours. It is a journey for sure, but like Irene said, it's the most fulfilling thing, especially once you get to Tech Week and it's on stage and I'm seeing my own choreography up there on these students. And it looks amazing, and I know how much work they put in. And then like on top of that, I would meet with people either before rehearsal, before school, during lunch, if they had questions about rehearsal. I know Anastasia was too. And homework-wise, I mean, I would get home at about 9:20, 9:30 and just get to work. And my nights were just a little bit later during these 2 months.
Lana, how about your journey? Something similar?
Especially during this time, it's just kind of, I feel like I was in survival mode, but I don't say that in a negative way. It's just like this musical was very important to me, and I wanted it to be beautiful, and I wanted to to succeed and have everything go exactly as planned. But I couldn't just put everything else I had on the back burner. And I feel like as a Kincaid student, that's kind of a shared experience that everyone has stuff going on. And you kind of just have to figure out when to do it, how to do it. And I feel like we all just are really good at making it happen.
You mentioned a shared experience. I'm guessing over 8 weeks of rehearsals and homework and studying, that maybe some new relationships and some friendships and maybe some mentorships from younger students built over that time. Anybody have a story about that?
Well, honestly, I think every single person in this cast can agree. The family you build during these 8 weeks is incomparable to anywhere else. Like spending all of this time together, you're exhausted. You just ran a really hard piece for 3 hours straight. Like specifically one piece, Toxic, I think we spent maybe 10 hours rehearsing that piece alone. And that's a hard number. And those girls were giving their all every single hour of those rehearsals. And through that, there's so many like funny jokes that they've made that we can all like look back on. It's like, oh, do you remember that? Do you remember that? I feel like just being together for all of these hours, you just grow so close. And I feel like I became really good friends with a lot of like freshmen and sophomores, as well as seniors I maybe wasn't as close with. Like grades don't really matter anymore. Not grades like your age grades, not like your school grades, sorry. And you all just can become friends and bond. And it's a really like fun, unique experience.
And it takes so much work to pull off a musical, but just the amount of everything there was in this show was like at the highest level it could possibly be. Costumes, choreography level, like
Just like everything was at 100%.
yeah,
all the time.
And it was so new to all of us too. Like none of us have done a jukebox musical at Kincaid with like this amazing of a budget and amazing costumes and really hard choreography for some of us. Like it just was so. It's so much work to be in a show like this, to be in theater in any role you're in.
The obvious question is, was it worth it?
Yes.
100%.
Oh, it's always
worth it.
It's always worth it.
This was the first show that I felt like it closed, and I was so sad. It was the first show that I really cried after. I got to give Irene her senior flowers, and I'll never forget, in that we have a scene that closes the show. And I walked up and I just saw Irene crying, like tears running down her face. I was just like, no, oh no, like I'm gonna cry now. And we did, and we cried our way through the scene and we closed the show, and it was just like, it was so nice. And then I just remember we ran off stage and we hugged, and then we went on for the curtain call and kind of put myself together, and then I just fell apart all again when I ran on to give you your flowers.
It really is like a second family.
I know y'all were also kind of wrapping your arms around everybody else and bringing them with you. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so we will bring this plane in for a landing. Georgia, the show's over. What's coming up for you? What do you have planned in the future?
Well, most like recent plans, like the most upcoming thing is I have choreo projects coming up in April, which is a chance for juniors and seniors who are part of the Kincaid Dance Company to choreograph a piece on their fellow dance company members and dancers at the school. And it's going to be an incredible show. I'm really excited to be able to put my own work on stage as well as be in my fellow dancers' work. I mean, it's so hard to even explain what dance can give a person. It has always been like just an outlet for me. It's something that's brought me so much joy in life.
Lana, how about you? What's coming up?
Coming up soon is one act children's theater and the choir pop concert. So for one act and children's theater, and actually also the choir concert, I'm going to be costuming those pieces. Choir is kind of more in my hands. And then for children's theater and one acts, I'll probably help build and construct, which is always really exciting. Children's theater is always really fun. It's always super cute.
Awesome. Irene, how about you? What do you have coming up?
Yeah, at Kincaid, I have one acts coming up. I'm super excited for that. Beyond that, I'm waiting to hear back on my college decisions. We don't know where we're going yet, but we're really excited. Okay. And I think most notably, I have my debut single coming out next week, Friday, March 13th.
debut single. Tell us more.
It's my first song. It's my original composition and songwriting. And it's called The Muse, out on all streaming platforms. And it's on my Instagram if you want to pre-save it. So
The Muse from Irene Pletcher.
yes,
Coming out next week.
coming out next week.
It's really good.
All right, folks, that's a wrap for today. I want to thank our guests. We had Irene Pletcher. Irene, thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been super fun.
You bet. Georgia, Holton, thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. This was such a fun opportunity.
Awesome. And Lana Tosic. Lana, thanks for joining
Thank you.
us.
Thank you so much.
Perch will return again in 2 weeks with new conversations and stories about education, leadership, and community. Be sure to follow the Kincaid School on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube.
Finally, check out Kincaid's website and read the Falcon Flyer for more on how Kincaid supports our students and our community throughout the year. Thanks again for joining us on The Perch.